Hey there, it is another beautiful day. Let's watch some stuff.
I just noticed something very strange that we missed when we watched Forrest Gump. I guarantee you didn't see it. So Jenny's leaving to go on the bus with that other guy, and Forrest Gump gives her his necklace. This was the Medal of Honor he earned. Now, the upside-down five-pointed star is a symbol in Satanism, okay? But that's not the craziest part. Upside-down five-pointed star is the sigil of Baphomet. And right after he gives it to Jenny, he does the peace symbol, but for a split second you can see his other finger is doing the peace symbol but pointed to the ground. That's where it's crazy, because that is literally the Baphomet salute. 2 fingers pointed down, 2 fingers pointed up. And Baphomet is the official insignia of the Church of Satan. So what did Tom Hanks mean by this, or what did the directors mean by it to get him to do this interesting scenario with his hands?
Holy crap, I never noticed those. Did you notice those? And do you think they actually are like a sign of Satanism?
In the near future, we will have a healing device known as a medbed, which is often depicted as advanced medical device that uses quantum technology, and they will have extraordinary healing capabilities. These medbeds already exist, but it is just not available to the public as of now. But these medbeds can diagnose and treat various ailments and injuries in a non-invasive or minimally invasive manner, potentially even regenerating tissues or organs. Proponents of the concept envision a future where medbeds, as well as Tesla coils and other free energy devices such as replicator technology, are widely available and accessible, revolutionizing healthcare and providing advanced healing opportunities for individuals. Some claims even suggest that medbeds may be able to reverse the aging process or enhance human capabilities. These medbeds will be one of the first technologies released from the NESARA program. These medbeds will be able to diagnose your body's systems so you can return to optimal health. These medbeds will be able to scan your entire body using anything from an X-ray or MRI, and then will be able to heal the cells and tissues in your body once it has found the underlying cause.
In the past couple of episodes, we talked about scalar waves and their healing properties. And Paradigm Shift Now, my friend over on Rumble, mentioned, med beds. And we talked about them once or twice before, but never in too great of detail. Probably because I'm a bit of a skeptic. I'm still working on it. But I don't think that the med beds would be so compact. And I think those ones may have been hijacked from a couple of movies. Because I know there was Prometheus that had one, and that was part of the Aliens franchise. And then there was Elysium, really good movie with Matt Damon. And of course, Star Trek, hello.
If you guys are following the med beds, okay, that's basically a thing where you lay down in a bed and they use frequencies, okay, on your body and stuff, right? So we know that frequencies affect your body. It's a fact. Otherwise, they wouldn't be trying to go for the med beds. So just keep that in your mind. All electronic, interference with your body causes you some type of harm. Okay. Now there's a book that you guys can get. It's called Dirty Electricity. I highly recommend you guys get that book. Before Stacy and I, were moving off grid, we were trying to figure out why we weren't feeling that good and, kind of irritated and not sleeping well. And, we just started deep diving and we knew it was our food, a lot of processed food, a lot of things you can't pronounce are in your foods. We knew it was some of the environment, the formaldehyde in your carpet or maybe the fluoride in your drinking water and all the other chemicals you're being bombarded with every day. But then we also started to think about what about the electricity? And we got this book called Dirty Electricity. And then it really started clicking. Okay. So then when we moved off grid here to our log cabin, we live in this log cabin over there I built myself, and we live off grid, no public utilities and no, power. And we have no outlets in our house. And so we've noticed over the 15 years of living here that our health is getting better. We're more aware. We're more cognitive, just all of these things. Our health is better. We're sleeping good, all this kind of a stuff. Okay?
He's got a lot of great points there. As far as the food that we eat, yes, there is all kinds of crap put into your foods. We'll get into that by the food companies to make you want to eat more. And that's why I don't eat plants anymore. I don't eat anything processed. I only eat meat, eggs, and butter. And I frickin' love it. As far as electricity, yes, the more electric devices you get, the more resonant frequency you're getting bombarded into your body, which makes you feel a little bleh. I've noticed that. And I don't know if it's psychosomatic because I'm learning about it, but then, Another thing is, how did he record this if he's like off the grid?
And you want your head up this way and scoot back up this way? A little bit further up, because you don't want this. Maybe a little bit further down. So it doesn't
There you
jump.
go, right there. Lift your head a little. Good. This is cell resonance. Turn that on. Got ozone. See, negative ion, that's like grounding, mechanical grounding. Now, vibration, you tell me when it's okay or not okay. You're okay? Mm-hmm. All right. This is going to be far infrared heating. Terahertz. And graphene. Chromotherapy, that's light. And then gyromagnetic. So you got all that going right now, okay?
Sounds good.
I stand corrected. Looks like we're already there. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by today. If you're having a good time, won't you hit that like button for me and consider subscribing? Then come back tomorrow, because I'm making a new episode every day. Also, if you've got something to say, you want to drop a comment, I respond to everybody.
What's the real reason behind the fake fruit in the USA? Dozens of Americans are reporting that the fruit they're being sold is fake. This viral frenzy started with TikTok videos showing rubbery avocados that don't brown, bananas that stretch like rubber bands, and blueberries that look like they're made of silicone. The avocado looks the most artificial, as it doesn't go brown after being left out to ripen and bends like Play-Doh. This has sparked a frenzy of videos and comments from TikTok users saying they've experienced the same thing. Reddit users theorize that this may be down to the fruit being genetically modified. Genetic modification might be changing what you're eating without you even knowing, to make the fruit last longer and look more appealing. Have you experienced this? Or do you think people are creating fake videos for views?
Not only is the food genetically modified, but it's also picked way too early and before it's even ripe. And then it's sent to like a warehouse or something where it ripens without like the tree. So they spray it with crap to make it ripen before it goes to the grocery store.
44% of the world's population has a gene mutation called MTHFR. This is a genetic mutation that impairs the ability to convert folate into methylfolate. And that might not sound like a big deal, but folic acid is one of the most prevalent nutrients in the human diet. And the thing about folic acid is that folic acid is an entirely man-made chemical. Folic acid is not found anywhere on the surface of the earth. You can't find folic acid anywhere naturally in nature. And yet we give folic acid to pregnant women when they get pregnant because we tell pregnant women that folic acid prevents neural tube defects. Well, that's patently false. Folic acid doesn't prevent anything. Folic acid has to be converted first into tetrahydrofolate, then dihydrofolate, but eventually it becomes something called methylfolate. And that prevents a neural tube defect. Well, what if, like 44% of the population, this woman has this gene mutation? And you give her folic acid, the man-made version of folate, and she can't convert it. This is where postpartum depression develops. I have not seen a single peer-reviewed published clinical study linking elevated levels of hormones in female pregnancy to postpartum depression. But if you give a woman that can't methylate folic acid 1,400% of the daily allowance of folic acid, and she can't break it down, then she goes nuts. And then eventually the pregnancy ends, the depression goes away, and so she blames it on the pregnancy, not on the vitamin.
More man-made stuff that our bodies can't process. And it's unfortunate that we're just learning that postpartum depression may be caused by a woman's inability to turn this fake stuff into something that your body actually needs. And get your folate from produce. As much as I don't like pushing produce on anybody, there's folate in produce, and it's the natural stuff. And it's also in beef liver. I know. It's an acquired taste.
The board of 23andMe, the company that does all the DNA tests independently, just resigned en masse. All 7 independent directors resigned from the company's board effective immediately. And with everything that's gone down this year is bringing up a whole lot of questions in people's minds as to why they would do that. Think about that. 7 people, 7 independent directors resigned all at the same time. And they're saying that it was because of a disagreement since the company is going private. But think about it. Is this the real reason that they would all just leave together as if they were going to get a job somewhere else immediately? Have you ever wondered why companies like 23andMe are so eager to collect your DNA? What could they possibly want with it? They say that it's for health reports and to check your ancestry, your family tree. Sounds pretty innocent. But let's think deeper about that. DNA is the blueprint of you, your past, your present, and possibly your future. What happens when that DNA falls into the wrong hands? Imagine if your DNA is not just a fun family tree tool, but actually part of a database being analyzed for more than just your heritage. Could they be tracking certain genes for future use in various programs? Insurance companies would surely be interested in your DNA as well. I mean, they could determine who's risky and who's not to get a life insurance, who to charge more, who to charge less. It could possibly be sold to pharmaceutical companies to develop drugs tailored to specific genetic markers, drugs that only some people could afford. We've already seen these DNA companies lose massive amounts of personal data in the past. They could possibly lose your DNA as well. And then the whole reason why the 23andMe board of directors resigned was because of the company going private and them not agreeing with the direction they were taking that company. I'm only now thinking about how important my genetic code is. I never really considered that. I will keep you updated on the situation. Like and follow for more.
Now hear me out. I truly believe that all of this DNA stuff is a government implemented long game, right? So he said all of the right things. That is definitely what our DNA can be used for, and then some. So they put out all these companies that are gathering all your DNA, and they have so many companies because some of them can market it at a lower price so that it's appealing to lower income people, right? Now they have all of your information and then they go private. Just like what happened with Ancestry recently. Remember this? I wonder who's going to buy up 23andMe and take it private.
Are there aliens at Area 51?
You know, I'll tell you, it's a funny thing because I think that might be a question that I get more than any question. It is the craziest thing. So we have that so-called area. They consider it like a sacred area. Mm-hmm. And I will say this. I don't think I'm a believer, but I've interviewed pilots that look, I like Tom Cruise, but better than Tom Cruise. The blonde crew cuts, the whole, and this, yes, sir. And they were in the Oval Office, 3 or 4 pilots. These are not people that make up stories. These are, they said, all I know, sir, is there was a round object that was going 4 times faster than my F-22, which is a very fast plane. And it wasn't, it shouldn't have been. It was round, sir. They have seen, 4 or 5 guys I've interviewed, solid people, great pilots for the U.S. Air Force, etc. They've seen things that they cannot explain.
Follow-up question.
Also a maybe.
Follow-up question, Mr.
Maybe.
Follow-up. If in fact there are aliens, would you be willing to put tariffs on them to help us with the economy? Yes. They're not just going to fly down.
That was a truly presidential answer, wasn't it? Very dodgy of like government secrets.
You're in contact with the Andromedans. Who exactly are the Andromedans?
They're a particular race that exists in the constellation of Andromeda. They're just one of thousands that exist out there. They are the particular race that I talk to and have had contact with and have given me and shared information with me are human. They're white-skinned to light blue-skinned, anywhere from 4 foot tall to 8 feet tall. And they are human in every way.
I want to talk to aliens.
You have mentioned that there's interdimensional potential. Could you expound on that?
And then in terms of multidimensionality, that kind of thing, the framework that I'm familiar with, for example, is something called the holographic principle. It derives itself from general relativity and quantum mechanics, and that is, if you want to imagine a 3D object such as yourself casting a shadow onto a 2D surface, that's the holographic principle. So you can be projected, quasi-projected from higher dimensional space to lower dimensional. It's a scientific trope that you can actually cross, literally, as far as I understand, but there's probably guys with PhDs that we could probably argue about that.
But you have not seen any documentation that that's what's occurring.
Only a theoretical framework discussion. Yes.
Okay.
Now I understand the concept of interdimensional travel. You know, there's dimensions and we travel in between them, obviously, right? But I'm not smart enough to understand the words that he said in the particular sequence that he decided to order them in. But that's fantastic. Aliens, yay.
I think these people got an interdimensional being on their camera.
Check this out.
Hi, you are currently being recorded.
That doesn't look like anything I've ever seen before on Earth. So like a little light followed by a bunch of little lights. I mean, what could this be? That's definitely strange. If you have any idea what this bunch of little lights could be, let me know in the comments below. There's a bunch of videos like this where people will catch weird stuff like this happening in like on the porch light or with the camera going. This is very strange to me. It's like the light's getting bigger.
Now, as much as I want to say, yes, it's aliens or it's interdimensional beings or transdimensional light beings, because you know I love them. I'm so obsessed. But it's a very good possibility that it's like light reflecting on a spider web. But why it would go back and forth, I don't know. What do you think it is?
These are all the people who created free energy and went missing. I'm going to go through all the people who created new energy sources, then I'll tell you what happened to them. Remember, this is just a theory, might not be true, but Dmitry Petrinov, who reportedly created a plasma battery that powered his 2-story house for 16 months. In 2010, he visited a bakery, and that was the last time anyone saw him. Similarly, this is Zachary Warfield, who was also developing a plasma battery and had met Dmitry a few times to exchange insights. He died in a bizarre boating accident. Stefan Marinov led the European free energy movement and was on the verge of a major breakthrough. However, he fell from a window. John Mullen was a nuclear physicist working for a major military contractor. He made a significant discovery, but from arsenic poisoning. Officially, these tests were meant to study the atmosphere's reaction to nuclear detonations, but some believe the true purpose was to see if this supposed barrier could be breached. Eugene Maloff, a physicist who claimed to have developed a cold fusion-based free energy device, was beaten to death the day before he was scheduled to unveil it to the public. Rory Johnson was reported to have built a cold fusion car engine with over 500 horsepower. The U.S. Department of Energy imposed a restraining order to prevent him from releasing his technology. Stan Meyer was said to have developed a car that ran on water. He died suddenly during a lunch meeting with 2 investors, allegedly stating, "I have been poisoned," as his last words.
I'm pretty sure we've talked about most of these fellows over the last 230 some odd episodes. God forbid somebody come out and produce some kind of technology that can save the environment and the people a lot of money, because that would be taking money out of the pockets of these ultra rich people.
I just had a very interesting gardening thought. What if corporations, in the whole grand scheme of them controlling shit and pulling the strings, factored in class action lawsuits into their budget? Like, they're like, yeah, we're probably going to have, 3 or 4 class action lawsuits this year. Let's just pay them out. Because you never see them on TV having to be in the news for like, oh, so-and-so's got another class action lawsuit against them. You know, they never have to actually say they're sorry. They just pay out these measly peanuts to everyone because it's something that's affected so many people that it really isn't going to affect us when we get $10 or $15 from something like a certain company throttling their batteries when a new version comes out. You know, sure, on the paper it says, oh, this company's paying out $22 billion. They're like, after the trillions we've made selling the blood we sell, and it's not like they're going to change their practices or make their product any better or like something that'll make it last longer, because obviously that'll make profits go down. So, you know, throw in a few lawsuits. Let's just add that into the budget. Just factor that in. You know, we'll give them a little, maybe a $100 at best, because I'm sure if they actually were paying motherfuckers like 5,000s and in the triple digit thousands, they change it up. Then they really start making a difference because it's hitting their pockets. That's just my little gardening thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they're not going to give you a product that's going to last forever, because they need to make that income when your item breaks and you go buy another one, because that is much more effective for their bottom line to pay out these measly pennies in these big, huge class action lawsuits to keep you coming back and buying the next best thing.
The most important is to understand that there is an existence around us right now that is living, it is breathing, it is here. We are just a frequency off of the tuner dial of seeing it. It's there.
Yep.
It is there. When we go out, how many times do we have to hear somebody say, the ghost came in the room and then it just disappeared? Right. How many times do we have to hear, Doug and Fred out fishing in a Louisiana swamp say it just appeared in the sky out of nowhere and then it disappeared?
Right.
How many times do we have to hear that? Well, I've had those same exact experiences.
I'm going to say it again. Transdimensional light beings. Yay! I know some people say interdimensional light beings. I'm pretty sure they're the same thing. And I say transdimensional light beings. And I love them. That's what I think they are. I think they're beings living amongst us, but they are out of our visual spectrum of light. So we can't see them, obviously. And they're over there tinkering with stuff, or like they're getting the shadow and they're like, hey, poking through. I love it. That's my whole explanation for ghosts and demons and stuff like that, because I don't believe in ghosts and demons and things like that. But yeah, that's what I think they are.
Hi guys, there's not really too much to say about this because the picture speaks 1,000 words, but these are being found by embalmers and funeral directors in dead bodies, and they've only been discovered since the rollout of the poke in the arm that we were told was safe and effective, and is maybe not quite so safe and effective. Let me know in the comments what you think this is. Is it any surprise that people are coming down with blood clots, things like that, when these things are in people's bodies? So I'm just here reporting the truth. Make of it what you will.
Ew. It looks like a tapeworm. It looks pretty grotesque. I don't know what it is, honestly. What do you think it is? And do you think it's coming from the thing, right?
It honestly blows my mind how this woman is 140 years old. Watch this video of her explaining how she did it.
My age is 141 years old now.
You are 141 years old?
Right now.
So is your medicine make you live so long?
I mean, I have no sugar. I have no pressure. I mean, I have no heart attack. I have no pain. I know my farm. I do everything steady. Well, I work with the moon, and the moon is that give you like when the moon is kind of full and the new moon is try to prepare your herbs, and before the moon full, then you will boil the herbs. So I work with humanity. I'm a healer through the power of the Most High. So through the herbs and water. So no matter what's the problem you have, there's something in the herbs for you. Because the Most High said, every leaves of the tree are healing of the nation. You understand what I mean? So then we must attune ourselves to the herbs.
What an interesting statement. So no matter your problems, the earth has a solution for you. Because the earth, our creation is based on what this earth is. What the planet has to offer is why we are here. So when you get back to the basics, you cut out all of the factory added crap to make you addicted to all of the crap that they're putting out. It's going to heal your body because that's what the earth is about, right?
A person in Missouri has made headlines as the first in the U.S. to contract bird flu without any direct contact with animals. This case, reported by the CDC, raises serious concerns among experts. Typically, bird flu spreads through infected poultry or livestock, but this rare instance suggests the virus might be evolving. While outbreaks have affected poultry in 48 states and dairy herds in 14, the CDC reassures us that the risk to the general public remains low. Researchers are now studying the Missouri patient's sample to see if the virus has mutated. This investigation is crucial to understanding how this infection occurred and what it means for us moving forward. Stay informed and take precautions.
That's the information you want to hear. The virus is mutating. It's becoming transmissible by other means. But you're not going to hear that from the news. They're just going to say, oh, it didn't happen this way, which is the way that it's supposed to happen. Next up.
What if your pager was a ticking time bomb? On September 17th, 2024, an eerie silence was shattered across Lebanon. Thousands of pagers, yes, those old-school devices, exploded simultaneously. The targets, Hezbollah members. At least 9 people were unalived, and nearly 3,000 were injured. Hospitals overflowed and chaos took over Beirut and southern Lebanon. The Lebanese government and Hezbollah point fingers at Israel. They claim Israeli forces used advanced tech to remotely detonate the devices. So how did this happen? Were the pagers tampered with before delivery, or were they hacked to overload their circuits? Either way, it's a massive security breach for Hezbollah. These pagers were supposed to be their secret weapon against Israeli surveillance. Now, tensions in the region are at an all-time high. Hezbollah vows retaliation. Meanwhile, the Lebanese health ministry is urging everyone to ditch their pagers. The fear of another attack looms large. Is this espionage at its finest, or just the beginning of a more sinister conspiracy?
Now, I find it hard to believe that they went in and tinkered with all of the pagers and put little explosives in them before the fact, right? I find it more likely that they probably emitted some kind of frequency that caused them to overload, which is interesting because who knows where else that particular strategy can be applied. And did you know that they were putting explosives in goats? That's absolutely disgusting. I'm going to call it now because ew. And thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Come on back tomorrow. We're going to watch some new stuff. I'll say different things, and it's going to be fantastic. Until then, have a wonderful day.